Hello everyone, my name is Steven. I am a fourth year grad student in Yoon's lab, and since we are doing virtual tours of Wisconsin and the department, we thought we'd give you a virtual tour of our labs. So come on in. So this is a typical lab setup that we have in the Yoon group. You can see that everyone has their own hoods. So this is actually my hood area, and I have the setup how I like in my hood, and then I also have the bench space, and I have just kind of all my common chemicals up on top. But this is my own little personal area, and so I get to keep my own little inventory of glassware and just kind of some common things that I typically use. And every grad student has their own setup, pretty much like this. So you can see Grace, one of our second years in the lab, she has her hood set up this way. And we have 4 people total in this lab. And here's actually Yuki, one of our third years. She's, you can tell she has some blue lights in her hood. She has some photochemistry set up. Should we go check it out? Can't see much of it right now, but we have a little bit of photochemistry set up in the hood here. But throughout all the labs, we have our chemical inventory just kind of spaced around. This is one of our chemical inventory shelves. And since the lab has been here for like 15 years, we have a pretty good inventory of chemicals right now. One really nice thing that we have in the lab is the solvent system here. And these are 5 of our most commonly used solvents, especially for photochemistry. And so it's super nice to have this just right in the lab. It's really quick to access, and it's a quick, reliable source to dry solvents. So let's check out some of the instrumentation that we have in the lab. So this is one of the rooms that have a few of the instruments that are specific to the Yoon group. Here we have a SFC, and we actually have like 4 chiral columns on our SFC, so it makes it really easy to separate different enantiomers of our reactions. So I actually rely on this instrument to measure the EE values of my reaction, and so this is one that I use pretty much every day. Now another instrument that is right behind us here is a GC instrument, and this is really great for monitoring some reaction progress. This is not a GCMS, it's just the GC, and we use it right now for a lot of like high throughput screening of reaction progress and basically tracking what different byproducts we're making and things like that out of our reaction. And here we are down the hall. We have another instrument which is an HPLC, and we have another like 4 or 5 chiral columns on our HPLC. So if you can't separate your enantiomers on the chiral SFC, odds are you can separate it on the chiral HPLC. It turns out most people in the group use this instrument to separate their enantiomers, but my project seems to have a little bit of special circumstances that require the SFC. But here, this small setup here is a potentiostat, so you can see kind of the little alligator clips that you would connect to different electrodes. And this is essential for everyone in the group to be running kind of some normal CV scans on either their photocatalysts or on substrates, but also Shane, one of our 4th year graduate students, is doing a electrochemical project. So a lot of his reaction setups are right here in this room using the potentiostat and the CV setup. Now in this room as well, we have 2 hoods, but these are kind of some hoods that we've set aside for now specifically for photochemistry. And this is a really neat setup that we have here. So you can tell that we have a photochemical reaction set up, but we also have this like long cold finger that's connected to this cryo pool. And bring the camera around here, because you can tell that we have this set at like negative 78 degrees. Can you see it? So this is pretty common for a lot of our photochemistry. We set up these reactions at really cold temperatures because cooling these reactions down helps us with enantioselectivity most of the time. So it's not really the heat that we want from the light, it's actually the blue light itself, and we try to get rid of any of the excess heat that we can. Now this large hood here, we have a lot set up in here. You can tell we have a lot of blue lights going in here as well, and these reactions should be done at room temperature. But down in the corner here, we have a UV reactor, and I'm not gonna open it up right now because I think something's running in it. But this is really specific for UV light and we have one grad student in particular who's using like a copper UV light project. So they are the one who are really working on that right now. So this is another one of the synthetic labs that we have in the Yoon group. And so again, just like in the other room, every grad student or postdoc has their own bench space and their own hood. But after a while, I feel like all the synthetic labs start to look the same. So this is Sam. Sam is one of our new postdocs in the lab. And you can kind of see on the bench tops here that we have, every bay has their own like rotovaps and ovens and balances and things like that. This is Chris. It looks like Chris is running a column right now, so we'll let him keep going. But yeah, so everyone has all their own setup and has everything they need to pretty much run independently in their own areas. But even like in this lab here, we have a whole hood dedicated to more of these cryo-cool photochemical setups. And so this would be kind of a common hood that we would use. And you can actually see one of our main stoves in the corner as well. Yeah, hide back there in the corner. So while we have a lot of hood space for individual grad students and postdocs, we also still have some shared hood space for everyone to kind of come together and use. So one of the best things I love about the setup that we have here is that the office spaces and the lab spaces are different. Like they're separated from each other. So again, every grad student or postdoc has their own desk in the office, and we have a few different offices down the hall. But each person who works in the office then works in the corresponding lab that's attached to it. So just in the middle of the hallway here, we actually have Teshik's office. And this is the kind of the outer office of Teshik's office where we do our subgroup meetings and things like that. And it looks like Teshik is actually in his office working as well. Hi. So I'm sure you'll hear from Teshik this weekend, doing different virtual tours and such. But yeah, so this is also where we do all of our subgroups, and we have a lot of meetings with Teshik.